Hi everyone. The last chapter I read to you was called Maiden Voyage, and while I was reading it, I was wondering if you were thinking the same thing. Here they all are on the raft going downstream without too many problems. I'm wondering, what do you think might happen when they turn around and try to get back upstream? It's going to be interesting to find out, isn't it? Have a think about it. This chapter that I'm going to read today is called Sardines. So remember that Fred dived down into the water and picked up the shining object they could see, and it was an old sardine can. Right. It took longer to coax the raft back upstream. Lila steered them close to the bank, and they hauled their way along on overhanging branches when the pole wasn't enough. The branches hung low, and all four were covered in ants and spider webs by the time they reached their home stretch of river, with fresh scratches on their hands. "It was here," said Con. "I recognized the way those vines wrapped around that branch." The branch stuck out conveniently on the river, over the river. It was perfectly placed to act as a mooring branch. It jutted out at an ideal angle, right above a bank of black Amazon soil. Oh, someone just got a bit tired and flopped out of the tree. Fred stood, wobbling hard on the raft. "Watch it," said Con. The branch was just over his head. It was covered in tendrils where it met the tree and shone green in the sunlight. He grabbed hold of it, tied a loop in the end of his liana rope, and hung it over the branch. "That's perfect," said Lila, "like a coat hook for our boat." "It is perfect." Fred stayed standing, looking up at the branch in his hand. He peered closer. "It's perfect because someone made it perfect." There was a beat of silence. Then, "What do you mean?" asked Con. She spoke very quietly. Fred didn't answer. He moved the branch to and fro under its covering of vines. It creaked backwards and forwards under his hands. The vines wound like a rope around the branch in a figure of 8, repeated over and over. "It didn't grow here. It's been tied on." Max was staring open-mouthed. "Who did it? Did you?" "No, Maxie," said Lila quietly. "Not him. Somebody else." Fred looked behind him. A gust of wind caught a pile of fallen leaves and spun them across the forest floor. The back of his neck prickled. He reminded himself again that trees do not keep secrets. They walked back to the clearing in single file. Fred came last. He turned to look backward at every step. The rustling in the bushes seemed to follow them, but it was just the wind, he told himself. Wind is a trickster. It plays havoc with your courage. The fire still had hot embers at its heart, and Fred lay down on his stomach in the grass and earth, blowing at it like bellows, his chin inches from the fire. His eyes were red and smoky by the time it was rekindled, but the roar of it sent a wave of relief through his chest. The fire was the closest thing they had to a weapon, and its warmth felt like safety. Lila was arranging their shoes, which had been soaked on the raft, in a circle around the ashes. "Can I see the thing you found in the water?" she asked. Fred held it out. Most of the writing was covered in rust, but he could see, written on its base, the ingredients. "Look at the bottom," he said. "It says, 'Canned in Plymouth.'"